My name is Jim Gray. I'm the vocalist for Caligula's Horse from
right.
Australia.
How would you define the genre of music you play?
We call it progressive alternative rock. Well, we needed to have a label attached to it, and that's probably the closest that we're going to get. But we write music that is kind of energetic and sort of forward-thinking, trying to introduce new ideas into the musical conversation.
How do you prepare just before getting on stage? Yeah, from maybe the moment you arrive at the venue to, I don't know, half an hour before, an hour before. Do you have any like pre-show routine or rituals you go through?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
In terms of vocal warm-up stuff, my warm-up begins when I wake up in the morning. You know, like if I'm in the shower, on the tour bus, or be doing touristy stuff, whatever we're doing, I'm constantly doing lip trills. But pre-show, when we arrive at the venue, after load-in, usually it's a little bit of time to just make sure that sound check happens really well. You know, we're in a very relaxed state of mind during sound check, that we just make sure that we're as quick as possible, you know, that we're sort of making sure that we're ahead of time so that we can relax after that. Mm-hmm. And it's mostly for us about staying in that kind of positive headspace before a show. You know, like even if your gear is screwing up, you know, things are breaking or not working, it's important to kind of stay in that positive headspace, otherwise that's going to carry through into your performance that evening. So after that, it's all just relaxing and dinner and killing time, maybe catching up with people that we've met on tour previously, and then that last hour or so before the show is into like we're locked away in the room, kind of again nice and chill. It's not like strict and weird, but you know we're locked away in the room and getting ourselves physically prepared to actually perform. Then right before we go on stage, we usually have a little huddle. We all get in a circle, and it's mostly, you know, laced with irony and stupidity, and it's not serious at all. We have this thing called Dicks on 6, where we all put our hands in the middle and we count up to 6 together, and instead of chanting yay or whatever, we just yell the word dicks and then walk on stage. That's
This hour before the show, you said you locked up and then you prepare yourself physically. What kind of physical preparation do you do?
Because of the physical nature of the performance, and you know, sometimes I'll actually end up jumping in the crowd and stuff like that. I spend a fair bit of time stretching out my neck. I stretch my hips. I do yoga every day at home as well to kind of keep that flexibility there, because otherwise you're gonna hurt yourself. Because I'm 30 years old, I'm not like a kid anymore. I can't get away with just tossing myself around on stage like I used to. But yeah, we all have a little stretch. Everybody's doing their diligent kind of musical warm-ups as well, and then it's about kind of walking on stage with feeling physically prepared and warm, but also with kind of communication and solidarity between all of us. Like we're all on the same page, we're all excited to be there, and we're all dedicated to just stepping on and giving anywhere between 45 to 70 minutes worth of kick-ass for everybody.
Have you always had this way of preparing yourself, or has this evolved over time?
It's definitely developed. When I was younger, sometimes I wouldn't even warm up at all, you know, which is gross. And I want to go back and just, you know. Now it's like, you know, you tour with the same people enough, and you kind of develop I don't know, like a system between us all. Like we know who's grabbing whose gear, you know, we know that we're all helping load the van. But earlier in our career, sometimes it'd be like, you get to that moment where it's like, all right, we got 20 minutes until we're on stage. Where's Jeff? Or where's Sam? Like, you know, and no one's there.
What about preparing your voice? Has this evolved over time? Do you take care of it more now, or? Yeah.
I studied classical voice at university, and I studied jazz voice after that as well. Okay. I've been singing since I was a kid, doing stuff in choirs and things like that since I was like 9. In terms of vocal warm-up and vocal health, you know, I have like kind of this wealth of history that I can reach to prepare my voice.
Yeah.
For a while there, I actually wasn't doing any of that, and I wasn't taking care of my voice as well. And I ended up actually with a little bit of vocal damage. Nothing super serious, nothing that I couldn't sort of repair. And I went to see a vocal specialist, a laryngologist, a speech therapist, and my old singing teacher, and they gave me a regimen to kind of rebuild my voice, and that's sort of been the last 6 months or so. Now it's like it's something that I have to diligently do, and it's definitely way more than I used to when I was younger.
Do you notice a change in your performance when you can't prepare properly?
Definitely. Whether that's not having a proper sound check, so you know, maybe you don't feel as prepared before going on stage. And if I don't go through my routine, sometimes I'll find myself standing on stage about to play the first song, and it kind of catches up to you, that the thought, oh, hang on a second, I'm on stage right now, I have to perform. Like it sort of snuck up on you a little bit, and that's not a good place to be.
While on tour, what external aspects do you think have an impact on your performance? External aspect meaning hours of driving, lack of sleep, diet.
I mean, definitely all of the above. I mean, we're no strangers to touring or being tired. I mean, I think the difference between kind of European touring and Australian touring is the proximity of cities to one another is vastly different. So, for example, when we're going to Europe next week, the drives between most of the places are going to be 4 to 5 hours. Whereas when you drive even from Brisbane to Sydney, which is the closest metropolitan city to where we're from, that's like 14 hours on the road. So we've had a show once where we left the Sydney show, we packed in the back of the van immediately afterwards, and we got into the bus knowing that the next time we get off the bus, we're going to pack in and load in for sound check in Brisbane. That definitely does weigh on you over time, but it's like I find that you do tend to find your sea legs after about 5 or 6 shows in a row. Even if you're kind of jet lagged like we are when we come to Europe, all of that side of stuff, you can struggle through the first couple of shows, but once you're into 5 or 6 shows deep, you're ready to do another 5 or 6. That's generally how I feel. Yeah, definitely lack of sleep affects me the most. Not eating affects me the most because I get super grumpy and I'm not fun to be around.
Do you take anything during the show to help you with your performance? Water?
No. I mean, I just have room temperature water. I used to have just like whatever bottles of cold water I could grab, but I was performing in Sydney one time, and I got a mate who's a classical vocalist, like an opera singer. She was there at the show and just checking it out, and came to me afterwards and says, "You're drinking cold water on stage, aren't you?" And I went, "Yeah, I guess." And she said, "Yeah, stop doing that because straight away you can hear it. The minute that I took a sip of cold water, my voice would just close up and react to it." So for me, it's just warm water. I know some other people use like different teas or lemon and whatever else on stage, but that's not what I'm about. It's just room temperature water for me.
One last question. Do you like to play live, and why?
I love to play live.
Why?
I am. It's a really good question, actually. I mean, like when I was younger, I probably would have answered because I like the attention. But now it's more like I suffer from like anxiety and depression, like on a regular basis. Going to shopping centers and stuff is a real like emotional trigger for me, and I end up, because if I'm in crowds and stuff, I feel pressure and I feel like I'm at war with everybody. But when I'm on stage, there's like a natural kind of peace there in that excitement and that elevated scenario, and I can be myself. I can let my mouth run. I can talk absolute shit to the audience in between songs. It's something like, it's hard to tell because I've been doing it for so long now that maybe it feels natural because I've done it a lot, or maybe it feels natural because it's where I'm supposed to be. But either way, I love performing because it's the place where I can be myself the most, and most honestly, I think.